Hello and welcome to this webinar, which is Wednesday's Insights for Startups and Entrepreneurs, and this is session 9. My name is Usof Shah, and I'm a senior solicitor at Herrington Carmichael within the immigration team. And today I'll be covering sponsor licenses. So what we're going to be covering today is sponsor licenses. Once a business has a sponsor license, subsequent skilled worker visas, and we will also be going through the application fees which come with these applications with the sponsor license, and then any visa application made after. So the UK immigration law, when it comes to sponsorship, okay, in this area where we're covering sponsor licenses for skilled worker and the senior or senior specialist worker, this is basically the points-based system which sets out the minimum salary requirements. So for a skilled worker, the minimum salary requirement is 38,700. Or what the going rate for the SOC code is. So it needs to be at least 38,700 or the going rate for a SOC code. SOC code stands for Skilled Occupational Codes, which can be found on the government website, and they are listed under different roles, the minimum salary. You can potentially pay an individual less than the 38,700 if they qualify under the new entrant, provided they are earning at least 30,960. Okay, how they will qualify for the 30,960, okay, if they are under the age of 26 at the date of the application, or they're on a graduate visa, or they're on a student visa switching to a skilled worker visa. So if they're on a student visa, they can switch to a skilled worker visa, then they will qualify for that threshold. Or if they're under the age of 26, or if they're on a graduate visa, which is usually granted once an applicant actually completes their studies. So they will be they can actually go ahead and apply for a 2-year graduate visa, which allows them to gain the experience they need in the UK in order to be able to apply for a skilled worker visa and have the ability to. Or if the role falls under the immigration salary list, okay, you qualify for a reduced rate. If you go for the senior specialist route, which is previously called the ICT intercompany transfer, where you're basically transferring your migrants or existing staff from your overseas entities to the UK, then that's the senior specialist visa now. So, it ensured global business mobility. The minimum salary for this is £48,500. Or if you have a graduate trainee under the same category, then the applicant can qualify, provided the salary is £25,410. So UK sponsor license. Okay, you're going to need a sponsor license. Okay, and a sponsor license is a license which is granted by the Home Office, which will enable a business to recruit from overseas, so outside of the UK. From 1st of January 2021, that obviously this also includes EU nationals, falls under the same category now as everyone else, because obviously EU nationals were previously able to move to the UK without the need to having a working visa. So what are the requirements to apply for a sponsor license? So you have no unspent conviction for immigration offences or other offences such as fraud or money laundering. You have not had a sponsor license revoked by the Home Office in the previous 12 months. You have an active trading presence in the UK. You have appropriate systems in place to monitor sponsored employees. Okay, what that means is basically you have the right HR process in place, and you have all the processes in place which is appropriate for you to monitor and track your sponsored employees. So the type of licenses which you can apply for, and the most popular one is the skilled worker one. There's also the global business mobility visa, which you can apply at the same time. Or if you've already got the skilled worker visa and you don't have the global business mobility visa, you can always add this route to your existing license. Again, the global business mobility visa allows a business to be able to transfer their existing staff from overseas into the UK to be able to work for them. Once you've got a sponsor license, a lawyer or a legal representative can be, and if we were to be obviously instructed on these applications, we can assist with the management of the sponsor license. Okay, we'll be adding ourselves as a level 1 user on your sponsor license. We'll be submitting SMS reports on your behalf, so you're compliant with your sponsor duties. We will apply for certificate of sponsorships on behalf of the business. So there is the COS allocation. When I say COS, in short, is certificate of sponsorship. We'll be able to increase that for you if you don't have any left, in order to be able to recruit and sponsor more employees. And advise on changes to your business structure. For example, if you've been acquired, or you're selling parts of your business, or your business is being split in separate legal entities, then I'll be able to advise from a merger and acquisition point of view as well, and from a immigration perspective. Ensuring continuing compliance with all your sponsor duties. So we'll be able to advise you what type of process you need in place in order to be able to, track your migrant workers, and as well as what type of duties you're bound by once you've been granted a sponsor license. So the skilled worker route. Once you've got a sponsor license, you can apply for a skilled worker visa. Okay, so a skilled worker visa allows migrant to work in the UK in the eligible role. So for example, you have a role and you want the skilled worker to take that job. So there are 4 eligibility requirements. You need to have a valid certificate of sponsorship from a Home Office approved employer, perform a suitably highly skilled job included in the eligible occupational codes, which it can be found on the government website. Be paid a minimum salary depending on the type of work. So usually it's 38,700 or 30,960 if you fall under the new entrant rate, under the age of 26, or on a graduate visa. Have sufficient proficiency in English language. So what that means is you do need to meet the English language requirement, and to meet that, you either need to be from a majority speaking English country, or you've had a degree taught in English, or you must sit and complete a UKVI approved English language test on 4 components: reading, listening, writing, and speaking. And you need a B1 in all 4 components. So the skilled worker salary. Okay, so a skilled worker minimum salary, as discussed previously, is 38,700, or the going rate for a SOC code, listed on Appendix Skilled Occupations. So a skilled worker qualifies for lower salary at various rates if any of the following applies. So again, if you're a new entrant, the applicant's under the age of 26, a recent graduate, or is in professional training. So the applicant has a PhD relevant to the subject. The applicant has PhD in a STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and maths subject. The applicant has a PhD in science or higher education, or the role is listed on the immigration salary list. So if any of these apply, you could potentially rely on a reduced rate, and you don't have to pay the 38,700. So what are the application fees? Okay, so for a sponsor license, if you're a small company, okay, and then the application fee for the actual sponsor license, £536. If you qualify as a medium to large enterprise, then you need to pay the £1,476, which is the initial government fee for the license application. Okay, and if you pay for those fees depending on the size of your business, it will take 8 weeks, okay, for the application to be processed, unless you go for priority service. If you go for the priority service, you pay the additional £500, and that can be reduced down from 8 weeks to 10 working days. So a decision will be made. So normally what happens in the whole process is, if we were to be instructed, we'll gather the documents, and we'll send you a list of documents which we need from the business, as well as all the information that we need from a business. And then we will review the documents. We will draft the application form on behalf of the business. We will send it for your review through a link where we can have a Teams call or meet you in person to be able to guide you through. And once you've checked the form, the authorizing officer, which is a key personnel appointed by the business, will have the responsibility of submitting the license. So we will basically have the application form ready. The authorizing officer will review it, submit, and make the payment. And then from that point of view, we will then from that point, we will then basically have all the rest of the documents together, and we'll forward it to the Home Office on your behalf. And when the Home Office receives these documents, including the submission sheet, which is populated from the submission of the online application form, the Home Office will start processing the application then, and that's when the 8 weeks will start, unless you go for priority, pay the additional £500, then it can be processed within 10 working days. So how do you identify if you're a small business or medium to large? And this falls under the Companies House definition, which basically says if any of these two apply, then you fall under a small business. So your annual turnover is less than 10.2 million. Your total assets are worth less than 5.1 million or less. You have 50 employees or fewer. So if any of these two apply, then you qualify as a small business. So that is the application fee for the sponsor license. The type of fees you will then need to pay once you've got the license in order to recruit somebody and hire somebody to sponsor them and work for you. Okay, so there's the government fee, okay, of the certificate of sponsorship, which is 239. This certificate of sponsorship, it will need to be issued with every visa application. Every skilled worker visa application you submit, you need a certificate of sponsorship. So that fee is one-off when you assign the certificate, and that is 239. And then there is also the immigration skills charge, which comes with the with the certificate of sponsorship fee, which is 364 per year for a small business, 1,000 per year if you're medium to large business. So if you're applying for a 3-year visa and you're a medium to large business, then you'll be paying £3,000 when you assign a certificate of sponsorship. And this is the skills charge, which came into force a few years ago. And the whole point of this is basically to the government charges for every migrant every employee you look to sponsor. So what are the visa application fees? So if you apply from outside of the UK for a skilled worker visa for up to 3 years, it's £719. Or if it's more than 3 years, then you would have to pay £1,420. Okay, and when you apply from outside of the UK, you're paying in local currency. Although these are the fees on the government website, it's likely to be a little bit higher or a little bit lower depending on the currency exchange rate at the date of the application. So for example, if you're making an application from the US, it would be in dollars because you'll be paying from their local currency, and due to the exchange rate on that particular date, this could be a little bit higher or lower. If you're applying from the UK, you will obviously be in pound sterling, so the fees will be exactly as it is. So for a 3-year visa, it's £827, or for a more than 3-year visa, it's £1,636. And then you also have the NHS surcharge, which comes with these visa applications for skilled worker, and that is £1,035 per year. So if you're going for a 3-year visa, that's £1,035 times 3. However, if the applicant has dependents and they're under the age of 18, then it will fall under the lower amount. So the NHS surcharge will be £776 per year, not £1,035. So if you're under the age of 18, you'll be £776. If you're over the age of 18, it's £1,035. So decision on skilled worker visas from the UK can take up to 8 weeks from the date of submission, or the appointment when you attend a biometrics appointment to submit your biometrics. That's when the processing begins. And so eight weeks in total, unless you pay for priority again. So for in-country applications, priority is £500 per applicant, and a decision can then be reduced down to 5 working days. There's also a service available, which is the super priority service, which is £1,000 per applicant, and the decision can be made by the end of next working day. We normally advise that it can take up to two days, but it could be done fairly quicker, so the next working day. There is also a priority service available from overseas, depending on which country you're applying from. So we obviously, once you've instructed us, we'll be able to advise you what the fees are. So what do we do here at Herrington Carmichael? We assist businesses in terms of all aspects of UK immigration. So initially we assist them with applying for a sponsor license, which involves, gathering the documents, information from a business, and then getting that submitted on behalf of the business, and then waiting for the decision. And during that whole process, we'll be able to advise you on what kind of documentation, what kind of information we need. We'll draft a form on your behalf. We'll then get it submitted and forwarded to the Home Office. We will also make a representation letter on your behalf in terms of why you need a sponsor license, and provide all the information which the laws require for you to provide in support of the sponsor license application. Once the license has been granted, we'll add ourselves as legal representatives and a level 1 user. So we have access to your license, so we can manage your sponsor license on your behalf, and obviously, and of course, assist with subsequent skilled worker visa applications on behalf of your business, because you're applying for a license to be able to hire non-UK nationals. So once you've got the license, the second part is basically proceeding with the skilled worker visa application, where we'll be able to assist from the initial stage where the business will approach us and say, we've got this job and we've got this individual who requires a visa. We'll be able to review the job description to see, first of all, if the job description actually qualifies for skilled worker visa, the salary. We'll check how many years you're going for, the weekly working hours, and then we'll be able to advise whether it qualifies. If it does qualify, we'll be able to check if you've got a certificate of sponsorship, or if they're applying from overseas, then we can submit the defined certificate of sponsorship on your behalf, and making sure the right stock code is selected, making sure the right certificate of sponsorship is being applied for, the right salary is being paid for the applicant, or else if you miss any of this stuff, the visa could actually be refused here. We also offer sponsor compliance and training, so we advise on compliance, what type of processes to have in place, in order to be able to, so you're able to track and monitor your employees, sponsored employees, and the type of training we provide will be on compliance as well as right to work. Updated right to work training is crucial, and it's probably one of the most important processes in place where the Home Office look for before they grant a business with a sponsor license. If they're not sure, for example, that you have the right process in place, they could potentially have a visit and check for themselves to see you have the right process in place, and you're able to maintain your sponsor duties once a license granted. And we'll also be able to advise you on temporary routes to the UK. So any other individual that you're currently recruiting, for example, who are on visas, we'll be able to obviously confirm whether they have the right to work, they can work here. Or, for example, if you come across an employee with a temporary worker visa, we'll be able to advise you how long you can have them for, and what are the conditions and what you need to do if their visa expires. And we've already touched on right to work compliance, which is obviously very, very important and crucial. So that's the end of the sponsor license webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask now. I'm also available if you feel like giving me a phone call or dropping me an email. I'll be able to assist with that. My details is literally on the screen right now, so feel free to take a picture or make note of this. But if you feel like you need to ask a question right now, please go ahead. I'll be very happy to help. But like I said before, feel free to drop me a line or give me a call if you have any questions or you need assistance with the sponsor license application or any skilled worker visas. Thank you for your time, and yeah, speak to you soon.